So picture this. You wake up, you grab your coffee from the exact same shop you always go to, and you take the exact same route to work.
Right, the usual morning autopilot.
Exactly, total autopilot. And maybe just before you get to the office, you stop by the ATM to grab some cash for the weekend. It's an entirely mundane
A
routine.
completely invisible part of your day.
Yeah, you walk up to this machine, and honestly, it feels almost like a trusted neighborhood friend. You visit it every week.
You don't even think twice about it.
Right. It has the familiar logo of your bank illuminated on the screen, the blinking lights around the card slot, that familiar kind of cold, heavy metal keypad. You just implicitly trust it.
But that trust is exactly what we're going to unpack today.
Right. Because imagine walking up to that friend today and without you realizing it, they're wearing a highly realistic, incredibly detailed mask. And because you don't notice that mask, you're about to hand over the keys to your entire life savings.
It's a deeply unsettling image, but honestly, it captures the exact nature of the vulnerability we're dealing with here.
Welcome to today's deep dive, by the way. I'm your host, and I'm joined by our resident security expert. Our mission today is decoding a highly detailed source document titled Day 43 ATM Skimming Scam.
Thanks for having me. And yet the danger here doesn't come from, like, a masked robber holding you up in an alleyway. It comes from the mundane becoming dangerous, precisely because it is so familiar.
Yeah, we drop our guard completely when we interact with systems we've used 1,000 times before.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is how the source reveals this intersection of physical tampering and digital theft. This isn't just about a hacker in a dark room.
Right, they're out there in the real world.
Yeah, it's about criminals manipulating the physical environments we trust most.
And that's exactly what we're getting into today. We're going to break down the actual mechanics of one of the most prevalent, sneaky, and devastating physical meets digital crimes happening right under our noses, which is ATM skimming.
It's everywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah, it really is. We're looking at how a tiny piece of plastic, a hidden camera, and literally just a few seconds of carelessness can entirely empty a bank account.
Which is a terrifying thought.
There was this quote I came across while looking into the documentation on these scams, and it perfectly sets the tone. It's a phrase in Hindi. ATM haste P and Mat Dalo.
Oh, I love that one.
Right. For you listening, that translates roughly to don't carelessly enter your PIN at the ATM, or more literally, don't do it while laughing or distracted.
Which is brilliant because it cuts right to the core of the criminal's strategy. I mean, they aren't just hacking a mainframe, they're hacking your attention span.
Yeah, they need you distracted.
Exactly. They are banking on the fact that you're laughing with a friend or listening to music or rehearsing what you're going to say in your morning meeting. The entire scam operates in the blind spot of our daily routines.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's get into the actual anatomy of this crime. Because when you hear about this on the news, they throw around terms like ATM skimming and card cloning almost interchangeably.
Right, the media blurs them a lot.
But getting into the weeds of how this actually works, those are two very distinct phases, right?
Oh, they are entirely distinct sequential phases. You simply cannot have cloning without skimming first.
So skimming is step one.
Yes. Skimming is the secret theft of the digital data. It's the physical act of interception at the machine itself.
And then cloning.
Cloning is what happens afterward. It's the process of taking that stolen data and creating a fully functioning, exact, physical duplicate of your ATM or debit card.
I want to spend a minute on what exactly is being stolen here, because when I hold my debit card, physically it's just a cheap piece of plastic.
Right, it feels worthless on its own.
Yeah, but digitally it's carrying my entire financial existence.
Think about the magnetic stripe on the back of your card. That technology is actually ancient. I mean, it dates back to the 1960s.
Wait, the 1960s?
Yeah, developed by IBM.
Mm.
And it relies on the exact same principles as old cassette tapes or VHS tapes.
Oh, wow, like actual tape.
Literally. That black stripe is made up of millions of tiny, iron-based magnetic particles encased in a plastic-like film.
Okay, so it's actual iron on there.
Yeah, and each of those particles can be magnetized in a specific direction to represent a 1 or a 0.
So it's essentially just a string of unencrypted binary codes sitting right there on the surface.
Unencrypted is the key word there. It is completely static and completely unprotected.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Well, it was designed a long time ago. The magnetic stripe typically contains 3 tracks, though mostly tracks 1 and 2 are used for financial cards.
What's on those tracks?
They hold your primary account number, your full name, the expiration date, and a 3 or 4-digit service code that tells the ATM what kind of card it is.
So all the good stuff.
All the good stuff. When you swipe or insert the card, a read head inside the ATM detects the changing magnetic fields as the stripe moves past it.
And then it just translates it.
Right. It translates those magnetic fluctuations back into digital ones and zero.
So it's almost exactly like playing a mixtape.
That's a great way to think about it.
Like, you put the cassette in the stereo, the magnetic tape runs over the playhead, and the stereo translates that magnetic data into audio you can hear.
Yes, the physics are identical.
Okay, so if the ATM is the stereo playing the tape, the skimming device is basically just a second playhead spliced into the system.
Precisely.
So if I take the music and my highly sensitive account data from my original tape and I dub it onto a completely blank cassette tape, it plays exactly the same way in the stereo, right?
Yep.
The stereo doesn't know it's a copy.
The ATM cannot tell the difference between the plastic issued by your bank and a blank piece of, say, hotel keycard plastic encoded with your data.
Wow.
Yeah, as long as the magnetic track presents the correct sequence of ones and zeros, the ATM software recognizes it as a valid card.
And the bank server just accepts it.
The server just says, yes, this card number matches this account. It has no idea it's a piece of white plastic. Yep.
That feels like a massive design flaw. It's terrifyingly simple. So the criminal takes this stolen data, and they just buy a stack of blank magnetic cards.
Exactly.
But wait, I assume those blank cards are heavily regulated, like you can't just buy them at the store.
Not at all. You can buy hundreds of blank magnetic stripe cards online for a few dollars.
You're kidding!
No, I mean, they're used for entirely legitimate purposes globally. Think about it. Hotel room keys, arcade cards, employee ID badges, transit passes.
Oh, right. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and the hardware to write data onto these blank cards, known as an MSR writer, is also cheap and easily available on major e-commerce sites.
So they literally just plug a machine into their laptop, swipe the blank card, and paste my stolen data onto it.
Exactly. It takes seconds. And once that blank card is encoded, the criminal possesses a functional ghost of your financial identity.
A functional ghost. I hate how accurate that is.
It is. And this duplicate card allows for entirely new avenues of theft. They don't just have to go to an ATM.
What else can they do?
They can use that cloned card for shopping transactions at physical retail stores that still use swipe terminals.
Yeah.
Or, because they have the card number and expiration date, they can use the data itself for online fraud.
So they don't even need the physical fake card for online stuff.
Right. Where the physical plastic isn't even required. Your financial data is completely liberated from the card sitting safely in your wallet.
Okay, so if we understand that the cloned card is just dubbed magnetic tape, that leads to the real mechanical puzzle here.
Which is the intercept.
Right. How are they extracting that invisible data from my card in the first place? Like, how do they perform this skim in broad daylight without the bank, the security cameras, or the customer noticing?
This is where the physical engineering of the crime gets incredibly sophisticated. The primary weapon is the skimming device itself.
Which is what, exactly?
It's a small, illegal piece of hardware that is installed directly onto or into the ATM's card slot.
But ATMs aren't all the same. There are dozens of different models, different colors, different slot shapes.
Very true.
Like, sometimes the slot is just a thin line, sometimes has a bulky, protruding green plastic guard around it, specifically designed to stop skimming.
And that's exactly why modern skimming rings operate almost like specialized manufacturing firms.
Oh, so they adapt.
We aren't talking about criminals duct taping a clunky metal box to the front of a machine anymore.
So what are they using?
These skimmers are often custom designed using CAD software, 3D printed, or even injection molded.
Injection molded. That sounds like actual mass production.
It is. They do it to perfectly match the make, model, color, and texture of the specific ATM they are targeting.
So they do their research.
Oh, yeah. If the bank uses a bulky green anti-skimming guard, the criminal will manufacture a slightly larger identical green guard that snaps perfectly over the real one.
So they're weaponizing the bank's own security features.
Exactly.
If I see the green guard, I think, oh, good, this ATM is secure, but I'm actually looking at the device that's about to rob me.
Precisely. They're designed to be entirely flush with machine's existing architecture.
That's insidious.
The psychological trick they're pulling on you is invisibility through conformity. The true insidious nature of the skimmer is that it doesn't break the ATM.
Right, because if the machine is broken, I walk away. They need the machine to work perfectly.
When you insert your card into a compromised machine, your card passes through the criminal's fake slot.
Okay, and what's in the fake slot?
Hidden inside that fake slot is a tiny battery-powered read head. It's often cannibalized from legitimate portable card readers, like the kind you'd plug into a phone.
So it's real tech being misused.
Yeah. It reads the magnetic stripe as it passes, saves the ones and zeros into a micro flash memory chip, and then the card continues on its path directly into the actual legitimate card reader of the ATM.
So the transaction proceeds normally. I put my card in, the machine reads it, I type my PIN, the machine hands me my cash, I get my receipt.
Yep. Completely seamless.
I walk away thinking everything went perfectly.
You have absolutely no reason to suspect anything is wrong. The machine fulfilled its primary function. It dispensed cash.
But I'm stuck on something here.
What's that?
If there is an extra piece of plastic strapped to the front of the machine, why are we all so blind to it?
It's a fair question.
I mean, if someone put an extra fake doorknob on my front door, I would notice it immediately. If someone glued a second steering wheel onto my car, I'd notice. Are we just that unobservant when we are out in public?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not that we are inherently unobservant. It is a fundamental limitation of human cognitive processing.
How so?
It's heavily tied to a psychological phenomenon known as habituation. The human brain simply does not have the bandwidth to intensely analyze every single object we interact with every single day.
Kind of like how you can drive your normal commute home from work and suddenly realize you don't remember the last 5 miles of the drive.
Exactly that.
Your brain just goes into a low-power autopilot mode because it already mapped the environment years ago.
Think about the classic invisible gorilla experiment in psychology. Have you heard of that?
Is that the one with the basketball?
Yes. Where people are asked to count how many times a basketball has passed between players. And because they are so focused on the ball, half of them completely fail to notice a person in a full gorilla suit walking right through the middle of the game.
It's wild that people miss that.
But they do. When you walk up to an ATM, your brain is focused on the basketball, which is the task of getting cash.
Right.
You are looking at the screen prompts, you are thinking about your PIN, you are watching the cash dispenser. You are not conducting a forensic architectural analysis of the plastic bezels around the card slot.
Because my brain already categorized the ATM as safe.
Yes, the criminals rely entirely on this autopilot behavior.
That makes sense.
They know that if their 3D printed skimmer matches the color profile and roughly fits the geometry of the slot, your brain's visual processing will simply smooth over any minor discrepancies.
It just fills in the blanks.
It will fill in the gaps and tell you this is normal. Proceed.
Okay, so the criminal has successfully bypassed my visual filters. They have installed this stealthy little read head, and they have successfully copied the magnetic tape of my card.
Step 1 complete.
They have the account number, they have the expiration date, but getting the card data is only half the battle.
Right.
Because a cloned card is just a piece of plastic. It is completely useless at an ATM without the authorization code, right?
Correct. The data on the card tells the bank who is asking for the money. The PIN, the personal identification number, proves that the person asking actually has the right to access that money.
That's the key to the vault.
And here is a massive misconception that people have. Your PIN is not stored on the magnetic stripe.
Wait, really? It's not on the card anywhere?
It is not on the card anywhere.
That's a crucial distinction. I think a lot of people, myself included, assume the machine reads the card, sees the PIN stored on the stripe, and matches it to what you type.
Not at all. The ATM reads the card data, connects to the bank's network, and basically says, account 1234 is trying to withdraw cash. The user typed in 5678 as the PPN.
So it sends the guess to the bank.
Yes, the bank's server, heavily encrypted in a massive data center, checks its internal database, verifies the PN matches the account, and sends back an authorization code.
So stealing the card data alone doesn't get the criminal into the vault. They need the key.
Exactly.
How are they capturing the PN?
There are two primary methods for PN capture, both of which require a second layer of hardware tampering at the machine.
The second device.
Yes. The first, and historically the most common, is the use of hidden cameras.
The locations I was reading about for these cameras are incredibly devious.
They get very creative.
I read they hide them above the ATM screen, inside those clear plastic brochure holders mounted next to the machine.
Yep.
Near the convex mirrors that are supposed to help you see if someone is standing behind you. They've even been found hidden within the fluorescent light panels illuminating the ATM.
And my personal favorite, purely from an engineering standpoint, is the fake speaker hole.
The speaker hole.
Yeah. Many ATMs have small grills or perforations cut into the metal or plastic casing to allow the machine to beep or issue voice prompts for visually impaired users.
Oh, sure.
Criminals will install a pinhole camera, a lens, literally no bigger than the head of a needle behind one of those existing holes.
That is tiny.
Or they will manufacture a tiny plastic plate with a fake grill, hide a camera inside it, and stick it onto a blank space on the machine.
And these cameras aren't looking at your face, right? They don't care what you look like.
They don't care about your identity at all. They are angled with absolute precision to just watch the keypad.
Wow.
They only care about the geometry of your fingers dancing across the numbers.
How are they powering these things?
These setups are highly miniaturized. They run on tiny lithium-ion batteries, similar to what you'd find in a smartwatch.
Okay, so they have to go back and get them.
Well, older models use small micro SD cards to record hours of continuous video, meaning the criminal had to come back and physically retrieve the camera to get the footage.
That sounds risky.
It is. But newer, more sophisticated rings use Bluetooth or even tiny cellular transmitters to stream the video feed in real time to a receiver.
No way. Streaming it live.
Live. To a receiver hidden in a nearby trash can or a parked car just down the street.
So they are sitting a block away, watching a live feed of my fingers, typing my PIN, matching a timestamp from the video to a timestamp on the skimmer data to pair my PIN with my card.
Exactly. Timestamp synchronization is how they marry the magnetic data to the visual data.
Okay, but what if I see the camera? Or what if I cover my hand? I know we'll get into defenses later, but criminals have to know cameras aren't foolproof. There is a second method for stealing the PIN, right?
There is.
Something called a fake keypad overlay. And honestly, when I was trying to wrap my head around this one, it sounded impossibly complicated.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It is significantly more sophisticated than a camera, and it completely eliminates the visual vulnerability.
How does it work?
A fake keypad overlay is exactly what it sounds like. Criminals manufacture an entire physical keypad that looks practically identical to the ATM's real metal keypad.
Like the whole thing.
The whole block. It has the same number layout, the same green enter and red cancel buttons, the exact same braille lettering stamped into the keys.
That's wild.
They take this fake electronic mat and place it directly over top of the real keypad.
Wait, I have to stop you there. Because if you put a fake set of buttons on top of a real set of buttons, wouldn't the tactile feedback be completely wrong?
You'd think so.
Wouldn't it feel incredibly stiff, like pressing down on a brick?
What?
How does a user not immediately realize the buttons are wrong?
It's a great question,
Right.
and it speaks to the evolution of the hardware. The criminals don't use thick, clunky mechanical switches for their fake keypads.
What do they use instead?
They use ultra-thin membrane switches, very similar to the flat buttons on a microwave oven or a cheap calculator.
Oh, those weird flat ones.
Exactly. These membrane circuits are less than a millimeter thick. They embed these within a thin, flexible silicone or plastic mold that perfectly hugs the contours of the real keys beneath it.
Okay, so the height difference is practically imperceptible.
Right.
But how does the machine actually get my PA? If I am pressing a fake membrane button, I'm not pressing the real metal button.
Right. You're not touching the metal.
How does the ATM know what I typed to give me my money? If it doesn't get the PA, the transaction fails, and the criminal doesn't get the card data anyway.
Because the fake overlay is designed to be physically communicative.
Meaning what?
Beneath each fake membrane button is a tiny, rigid nub plunger, basically.
Yeah.
When you press the one on the fake keypad, two things happen simultaneously in a fraction of a second.
Okay, what's the first thing?
First, the overlay's internal microchip registers the electrical contact of the membrane switch and digitally saves the fact that you pressed 1.
Got it. And the second thing?
Second, the physical pressure of your finger continues downward, pushing that tiny rigid nub directly into the real 1 button underneath it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, depressing it with enough force to register on the actual ATM.
That is brilliant and terrifying.
It's engineering at its most malicious.
It's like a malicious translator. You whisper a secret to the translator writes it down for themselves in their little notebook, and then they turn around and pass the message along to the intended recipient.
That's a perfect analogy.
The conversation between you and the bank happens completely smoothly, but the secret is entirely compromised in the middle.
And because the tactile click you feel actually comes from the real button depressing underneath the thin membrane, your brain registers the physical feedback as normal.
So I just walk away thinking everything is fine.
Exactly. The machine gets the PAN, authorizes your $20, and you walk away happy. Meanwhile, the overlay has quietly logged your 4-digit code time-stamped it, and stored it in its own memory chip, waiting to be paired with the data the skimmer grabbed from the card slot.
So, with both the card data and the PAN successfully secured, the trap has fully closed.
The jaws have snapped shut.
I want to map out exactly how this looks in the real world from start to finish. If we look at the life cycle of one of these scams, there is a very specific sequence of events, a 6-step playbook that dictates how this heist goes down.
Understanding this timeline is absolutely crucial because it highlights the shifting windows of vulnerability.
Right.
The risk profile for the criminal changes drastically from minute to minute.
Let's walk through it.
Yeah.
So, step 1. The criminal physically approaches the ATM and installs the skimmer device over the card slot.
Right.
Step 2. They immediately install the PIN capturing device, whether that's the hidden camera or the fake keypad overlay.
Yep.
Step 3. The unsuspecting victim arrives and uses the ATM.
That's the pivot point.
Step 4. The card data and the PI are simultaneously intercepted and stored.
Yep.
Step 5. The criminal returns, retrieves their devices, downloads the data, and physically manufactures a duplicate cloned card.
Or sells it.
Right. And step 6. The cloned card is used at a different ATM to withdraw the account hash, or the data is sold for fraudulent transactions.
Let's break down the asymmetry of risk in that timeline because it's fascinating.
How do you mean?
Well, steps 1 and 2, the installation phase, require extreme risk and physical presence from the criminal.
Because they have to actually go to the ATM.
They have to walk up to a machine that they know is monitored by bank security cameras. They usually wear hats or sunglasses, act quickly, apply the adhesives, attach their illegal hardware, and walk away without triggering an alarm or raising suspicion from passersby.
That's a lot of exposure.
It is a moment of high exposure.
But then the dynamic flips completely.
Yes. Step 3 is the pivot. Step 3 is entirely passive for the criminal.
They don't have to do anything.
Nothing. They retreat to a safe distance, sit in a coffee shop across the street, or even leave the area completely if the devices have high storage capacity. They just wait.
Wow.
They assume zero active risk during the actual moment of the theft. You, the victim, are doing all the heavy lifting for them by engaging with the compromised machine.
It's literally an automated assembly line of fraud.
It really is.
Which makes me wonder, looking at this 6-step flow, at what exact point is the point of no return for the victim? Like, when is the trap inescapable?
Step 3 is the fulcrum, but the exact point of no return is the millisecond you hit the green enter button on the keypad.
The moment you confirm the
The
PIN.
moment you type that final digit of your PIN, you trigger step 4. The data is stolen. From that moment onward, the victim is entered into a race against time that they do not even know they are running.
Because they have absolutely no idea they've been compromised. They grab their $20, they grab their receipt, and they go about their day. They go to work, they go to dinner.
Precisely. While the victim is living their normal, oblivious life, the criminal is sprinting through steps 5 and 6.
How fast does that happen?
In highly organized transnational crime rings, the person who installs the skimmer isn't even the person who withdraws the money.
Wait, really? It's a network.
Oh yeah. The installer grabs the data, uploads it to a secure server on the dark web, and a completely different crew, often called money mules, downloads that data halfway across the country, encodes it onto blank cards, and starts hitting ATMs before the victim's bank even registers a geographical anomaly.
That's crazy fast.
The window between step 4 and step 6 used to be days. Now it can be a matter of hours or even minutes.
So if the timeline moves incredibly fast once the trap is sprung, the only way to genuinely win this game is to spot the trap before step 3. You have to break the cycle before you insert the card.
Exactly.
And that naturally shifts our focus from the mechanics of the crime to the mechanics of defense. Because knowing how they do it isn't enough. We need to know how to become the detective when we walk up to a machine.
And this is where the knowledge becomes empowering. Because the criminal is relying on physical hardware to bridge the gap between their theft and your digital data, they introduce physical vulnerabilities.
They make mistakes.
They are fighting against the industrial design of the ATM.
The documentation on these defenses lists some very specific red flags, warning signs that a machine might be compromised. Let's go through the physical tells.
Okay, let's do it.
It says to look out for loose card slots, extra plastic fittings, wobbly keypads, glue marks, unusual camera-like objects, or color mismatches on the plastic.
I really want to focus on the tactile elements there. The loose card slots and the wobbly keypads.
Okay, why tactile?
Remember earlier when we discussed how these skimmers are custom molded to like perfect?
Right, the invisibility through conformity, it looks like it belongs.
Visually, yes. That is the ideal scenario for the criminal. But the reality of installing these devices in the real world is inherently messy.
Because they're in a rush.
Exactly. The criminal is stressed. They are trying to act fast in step one to avoid detection on camera. And they're essentially temporarily adhering lightweight plastic to heavy industrial metal.
What kind of adhesive do they use?
They often rely on double-sided tape or quick-drying industrial adhesives.
So it might look perfect, but it won't feel perfect.
Exactly. Real ATM hardware is built like a tank. It is designed to withstand decades of heavy public use, vandalism, and extreme weather.
Right, you can't just wiggle a real keypad.
It is bolted down from the inside with heavy-duty screws. It does not wobble.
Well.
If you touch the card slot and it wiggles, or if the keypad feels spongy and shifts under your hand, that is a massive red flag. The machine should feel entirely monolithic.
That makes me think of looking for bad CGI in a movie.
Oh, that's interesting. How so?
You know when you are watching a sci-fi film and the lighting on the alien monster just doesn't quite match the lighting of the alleyway it's standing in?
Yeah.
Like the shadow is falling the wrong way or the texture looks slightly too smooth. Your brain immediately registers that something is off, even if you can't articulate what it is right away.
Absolutely.
You have to actively train yourself to look for those glitches in the matrix. If the card slot is a slightly glossier green than the matte green plastic right next to it, or if you can see a tiny bead of dried glue peeking out from the seam between the keypad and the chassis, that is the bad CGI of the real world.
That is a fantastic analogy.
Criminals install these things in a rush under extreme psychological pressure, so their craftsmanship is often shoddy up close.
You are actively scanning for anomalies in the physical environment.
Yeah.
And to help with that, security experts outline a specific set of defensive rules, a protocol for engagement when you approach a machine.
Let's break down the protocol. Rule number 1, which is universally touted as the most important single action you can take. Cover your hand while entering the PIN.
This simply cannot be overstated. If you take absolutely nothing else away from this entire conversation, remember rule number 1.
It's that important.
Because this simple physical act mathematically destroys the criminal's return on investment.
How so? Walk me through the geometry of it.
Think about the bifurcation of the data we talked about earlier. The skimmer steals the card number. The camera steals the PIN. You need both to get the cash.
Right, the two parts of the key.
If you place your free hand flat over your typing hand like a tent, or if you hold your wallet directly above the keypad while you type, you completely blind the hidden camera.
So the camera just sees the back of your hand.
It does not matter if the criminal spent $1,000 installing a state-of-the-art 4K pinhole camera inside the brochure holder. It doesn't matter if they have the perfect angle. All they will record is the back of your hand or the leather of your wallet.
And without the PIN, the magnetic stripe data they got from the slot is largely useless for pulling cold, hard cash out of an ATM.
Exactly. You have successfully severed the two halves of the key. They might have the lock your account number, but they don't have the combination.
That's a great feeling, just outsmarting them with your left hand.
Now, it is important to note, this does not protect you from a fake keypad overlay, since that records the physical presses beneath your hand, regardless of what the camera sees.
Ah, right.
But it defeats the vast majority of camera-based attacks, which are still the most common method because they are cheaper and easier to install than fake overlays.
Which is a massive victory for just moving your left hand 6 inches to the right.
Truly.
Okay, let's look at the other defense rules. Rule 2. Pull the card slot slightly before inserting.
Again, testing that industrial hardware.
Right. If you give it a tug and the plastic pops off in your hand, you just found a skimmer.
Correct. Give it a firm wiggle. You aren't going to break a real ATM.
Rule 3. Avoid isolated, dark, or low-security ATMs. It is highly recommended to prefer in-branch machines.
This rule is purely about understanding risk mitigation from the criminal's perspective.
How so?
Criminals target machines that give them the longest, safest, uninterrupted window to install and retrieve their devices.
So a dark parking lot is perfect for them.
Exactly. A standalone third-party ATM in a poorly lit convenience store parking lot at 2 a.m. is a prime target. An ATM located inside the glass vestibule of a major bank branch, directly under the bank's own high-definition 2047 surveillance cameras, is a terrible target.
Because they'd get caught installing it.
The installation risk is too high. By choosing the safer location, you are letting the bank's million-dollar security architecture do the heavy lifting for you.
Makes total sense. Rule 4. Keep SMS and email alerts on end. You want your phone buzzing the absolute second a transaction hits your account.
Always.
And Rule 5, which I really want to dig into, prefer EMV chip or contactless cards over older magnetic stripe cards.
It is a big one.
Now, this feels like a massive technological shift we need to unpack. We know the old magnetic stripe cards are highly vulnerable. They are static mixtapes, but the EMV chips are touted as comparatively secure. Why is that little gold square on the front of my card so much better than the black stripe on the back?
This represents a fundamental paradigm shift in how financial data is handled and transmitted.
Okay, break it down for me.
We talked about how the magnetic stripe is passive storage. The data is exactly the same every single time you swipe it. If I copy it once, I have it forever.
Right.
An EMV chip, which stands for Europay, MasterCard, and Visa, the consortium that developed the standard back in the 90s, is not a passive storage device at all. It is actually a highly sophisticated, tiny, active computer.
Wait, it's an actual computer. It doesn't have a battery. How does it work?
Those gold contacts on the front of the chip are interface pads. When you insert the card into the ATM, the machine's internal contacts press against those gold pads.
So the ATM connects to it physically?
Yes, the ATM physically supplies electrical power to the microchip through one of the pads and uses the other pads to establish a data connection and a clock signal. The chip boots up instantly.
Okay, so the ATM wakes the chip up. Then what happens?
Then the chip and the ATM have a dynamic, highly encrypted cryptographic conversation.
A conversation.
Yeah. Instead of just handing over your static card number like the magnetic stripe does, the chip uses public key cryptography to generate a unique one-time transaction code specifically for that exact withdrawal.
What's that called?
It is called a cryptogram.
So it's essentially a secret handshake that changes every single time you meet.
Exactly. The ATM sends a random, unpredictable number to the chip. The chip takes that random number, combines it with the transaction details, like the amount of cash requested, and the date, and encrypts all of it using a secret digital key securely locked inside the chip's hardware.
And it gives that back to the ATM.
It hands this newly generated cryptogram back to the ATM, which forwards it to the bank.
So even if a criminal somehow installed a super advanced skimmer that intercepted that entire conversation between the chip and the ATM, and they copied the cryptogram perfectly,
It would be entirely useless to them.
What?
Because the next time they try to use that copied data to execute a new transaction, the bank server will look at the cryptogram and say, wait, the transaction details are different, the timestamp is different, and I already used that unique code yesterday. This is a replay attack. Transaction denied.
That is so clever.
You cannot clone an EMV chip the way you can clone a magnetic stripe. The dynamic authentication mathematically prevents it. The secret key never leaves the physical chip.
That is incredible. So if EMV technology is so bulletproof, what does this mean for the skimmer devices we spent the last half hour talking about? Are physical skimmers obsolete? Have we won?
We haven't won, but the battlefield has shifted. Physical skimmers are not entirely obsolete, and the reason why is frustratingly simple. Backward compatibility.
Oh, because not everywhere uses the chip yet.
Right. To ensure that you can still buy groceries while traveling in a country that hasn't fully upgraded their infrastructure, almost all EMV chip cards still have a magnetic stripe on the back as a fallback mechanism.
And sometimes the chip reader just doesn't work.
Exactly. If a chip reader is broken or dirty, the machine might prompt you to swipe instead.
So the criminals are exploiting the fallback.
Exactly. Criminals still install skimmers on ATMs because they are hoping to steal the magnetic stripe data as the card physically slides into the slot, even if you intend to use the chip.
So they just grab it on the way in?
Yes. Once they have the cloned stripe data, they will take it to regions or specific retail terminals that still allow magnetic swipe transactions, effectively bypassing the chip's security entirely.
That's frustrating.
But, to your point, the global EMV standard has drastically reduced the overall profitability and ease of traditional ATM cloning. The window is closing.
Which brings us to the final defensive rule, Rule 6. Regularly check your bank statements. It is the ultimate failsafe.
It really is.
If the physical checks fail, if the hand covering fails, if the EMV chip fallback is exploited, catching the anomaly on your statement quickly is your absolute last line of defense. But as we pivot into the final phase of this discussion, it's clear that scammers are well aware that physical hardware skimming is getting harder due to EMV chips. They aren't just giving up. They are evolving digitally.
This is the nature of fraud. It is a perpetual arms race. As our defensive walls get higher, their attacks pivot to find the softer targets.
So what's the soft target now?
We are seeing a massive shift from hardware tampering, which requires physical risk and engineering skills, to software and psychological manipulation.
The documentation highlights some of these modern frauds, and they are wild. QR code ATM scams, fake cash deposit screens, fake bank support calls, and remote access frauds. Let's dig into these.
These are fascinating because they exploit an entirely different vulnerability, which is user trust and technological novelty.
Okay, take the QR code scam, for instance.
Right, so in an effort to defeat physical skimmers entirely, many modern banks allow cardless cash withdrawals using your smartphone app.
Oh, I've seen those.
You walk up to the ATM, you select cardless withdrawal, the ATM displays a QR code on the screen, you scan it with your bank app, authorize the amount on your phone using Face ID, and the machine dispenses cash.
That sounds incredibly secure. There's no physical card to skim, no PIN to type on a compromised keypad.
In theory, it is highly secure. But criminals have realized that humans cannot read a QR code.
Oh, right. It's just a bunch of black and white squares to us.
Exactly. A QR code is just a visual representation of a URL or a string of data. You have no idea where it's sending you until you scan it. So criminals have started generating their own malicious QR codes, printing them on high-quality transparent stickers and placing them directly over the ATM's real screen, perfectly aligning with where the bank's QR code usually appears.
Oh, that's devious. So I walk up, I scan the code, and instead of securely communicating with the ATM,
Your phone's camera reads the malicious code and directs your mobile browser to a highly realistic phishing website that looks exactly like your bank's login portal.
so they trick you into logging in.
It prompts you to enter your username, password, and maybe even a two-factor authentication code to authorize the withdrawal. You type it in, the screen says error, and you walk away confused. Meanwhile, the criminal just captured your actual banking credentials in real time.
You essentially handed them the digital keys voluntarily.
You did.
And what about these fake bank support calls happening right at the ATM?
This is pure social engineering, and it relies heavily on the psychology of panic.
Walk me through it.
Imagine you put your card into an ATM, and the machine glitches. Maybe a criminal purposely jammed a small piece of plastic into the card reader beforehand. Or maybe it's just a normal mechanical error. The screen freezes and your card is physically stuck inside the machine.
My immediate reaction is absolute panic. I can't leave the machine because my card is in it, but I can't get it out.
Exactly. You are in a heightened emotional state. Your critical thinking skills plummet. And right at that exact moment, you look up and see a very professional-looking sticker affixed next to the screen that says, ATM out of order. If card is swallowed, call 247-SUPPORT immediately, followed by an 800 number.
Let me guess. The bank didn't put that sticker there.
The criminal put the sticker there. You call the number out of desperation, and a very polite, professional-sounding bank representative answers.
They actually answer.
Oh, yeah, they have the whole music. They have the script.
Yeah.
They ask for your account number to locate you. They ask for your full name, your mother's maiden name for security.
All the standard questions.
And then they say, I see the error on our end. To verify your identity and trigger the emergency mechanical release for your card, please enter your PIN in on your phone's keypad.
And because you just want the problem solved and they sound like an authority figure, you do it.
You do it, and in that moment, they have all the information they need.
Unbelievable.
They tell you a technician is on the way, you eventually leave the machine in frustration, and the second you are gone, they extract your card from the jammed reader, walk to the next machine, and drain your account using the PIN you just gave them over the phone.
They just wait for you to leave.
Or, in some variations, they convince you to download a secure bank diagnostic app on your phone to resolve the issue.
What does the app do?
It is actually a remote access Trojan, or RAT, allowing them to control your phone and access your banking apps directly.
That is just evil. So what does this all mean for us as consumers? If they are using QR codes, stickers, fake support calls, and remote access Trojans now, does covering my hand at the keypad even matter anymore? Are we just fighting the last war?
It absolutely still matters. Layered security is the only viable defense. Covering your hand and checking for wobbly parts stops the physical skimming threat, which, despite EMV chips, is still incredibly prevalent globally because it's cheap and effective.
So don't stop doing the physical checks.
Never stop.
Go.
But physical vigilance must be paired with digital skepticism. You need a comprehensive umbrella of awareness.
Okay.
You don't trust a random sticker on a machine just because it has a bank logo. You don't scan QR codes unless they're dynamically generated digitally on the screen itself, not printed on paper. You never, ever give your PIN to anyone over the phone, even if they claim to be the CEO of the bank.
And if the worst happens, if the umbrella fails and you do become a victim, there is a very clear rapid-fire emergency protocol you need to execute. The steps are designed for speed.
Speed is your absolute only ally post-breach. You have to act fast.
Step 1. Call the bank helpline. But you use the official number from the back of your card or from the official bank app, never a sticker on the ATM.
Exactly.
Step 2. Block the card immediately. Kill the physical ghost before it can be used.
Shut it down.
Step 3. Change your net banking password. This secures your digital perimeter in case they got your credentials via a phishing link.
Right. Change all of it.
Step 4. File a cybercrime complaint. For our listeners in India, for example, there is the National Cybercrime Portal or the Cyber Helpline 1930.
Get it on record.
Step 5. Inform the nearest police station to create a physical paper trail.
That sequence of actions, block, change, report, is systematically designed to immediately sever the criminal's access and document the fraud. The faster you act, the less damage they can do, and the stronger your case is for the bank to reimburse the stolen funds.
We have covered so much ground today. We've gone from understanding the invisible magnetic theft of a mixtape-style data stripe to training ourselves to spot the dried glue marks and bad CGI of a compromised machine.
It's a whole new way to look at the world.
We've unpacked the intricate cryptography of EMV chips, the psychological manipulation of fake support calls, and the absolute mathematical necessity of just covering your hand when you type your PI.
Rule number 1.
The golden rule we started with remains our anchor. ATM P haste P mat dollo. 1 single second of carelessness, 1 moment of autopilot behavior can lead to an empty account. The next time you walk up to an ATM, stay alert. Hide your PIN, trust your gut if a machine feels off, and keep those digital alerts on.
It's a lot to process, but awareness is the best armor.
It really is.
As we close out this conversation, I want to leave you, the listener, with a broader thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
We have spent this entire hour dissecting how criminals put immense effort into perfectly mimicking the physical keypads, the card slots, and the support stickers of the machines we trust. We are training ourselves to look for glue marks and wobbly plastic.
Right.
But think about the trajectory of technology. What happens in the near future when criminals move beyond faking the plastic machine and start using advanced artificial intelligence and augmented reality? What happens when they perfectly mimic the very banks and tellers themselves in our digital and virtual lives? When a video call on your phone from your bank manager looks and sounds utterly flawless, indistinguishable from reality, how will you verify what is real then?
That is a terrifying evolution to consider. If we think the physical mask on the neighborhood friend is hard to spot now, wait until the mask is entirely digital. Stay vigilant out there. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.